everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be going live with Monisha Jaising.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. It's so nice to have you with us today.
It's
It's
my
really nice.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Right now we're in, COVID. Everything's been going on. How did you look for inspiration for your new collection?
Well, inspiration is always there, COVID or not.
Yeah.
And, if you look at it this way, we've had more me time, during
Yes.
COVID. So we've been locked up. So, the creativity increases. Normally, creative people with me time, really get creative. And I think that's what's happening across the board in any creative field. Everyone who's been locked down is not just sitting there and eating away. People are actually using their minds and using their creativity and really either coming up with, great collections or great movies if you're, in the movie business, or, anything to do with, with the creative field.
What are you offering this season to people in your store? What is it that you're doing differently?
Well, we're looking at different shapes. I spoke about the power shoulders and the Victorian
Yes.
sleeves that we're working on, and we're also working on fringing, a lot of fringing at MXS, and
Okay.
at Monisha Jaising Couture, we're working on embroideries, right from cross stitch to quilting to patchwork. So basically, getting a bit of the countryside back. So it's like actually opening your grandma's closet and getting everything
Okay.
from there. And so I mean, the embroideries are going very vintage and back to country living and things like that. And as far as fabrics are concerned, we're using very lightweight fabrics, so so that the bride can be comfortable. I mean, I spoke about comfort. That's something that
Yes.
people are going to now want to COVID or not, they've got used to it, so they're going to
Yes.
look at comfort. Gone are the days of those heavily embellished lehengas, where you're just weighed down. I mean,
Yes.
the bride is not going to want that anymore. Now she wants comfort, she wants luxury, she wants functionality, she wants everything. And of course, she wants the garment to look wow.
Can you name few international designers whom you're inspired from?
Well, not so much international designers, but I can actually name a few international icons that I'm
Of
inspired
course.
by. So there's, there was this period in the 60s, 70s when, Brigitte Bardot was the face of Saint-Tropez. And
No.
so, definitely her. And I'm inspired by Jackie Onassis Kennedy was one of my favorites as well. And, you know, um, Grace Kelly, of course.
Great.
So, there are some icons that I have been inspired by, and I repeatedly go back to history as well for inspiration, to costume history, and
Yes.
old Hollywood movies, old Bollywood movies, old cinema anywhere, all across the world, even French cinema and Korean cinema, even those kind of mediums inspire me. So it's basically a mix of everything and a
Of
lot of international, a lot of India. India inspires me a lot.
course.
Actually, you know what? There's nothing like our country for inspiration. In fact, the world and their designers look at us for inspiration. All the fashion designers worldwide come to India for embroidery and fabric. So India, of course, is very, very inspiring.
So there's been a different fashion trend every decade from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Of course, it gets repeated and it goes so on. So is there any particular decade which was your favorite?
Well, everything. It was the swinging 60s, it was the roaring 80s, it was the grungy 90s. I mean,
A little bit from
there's
every.
always a prefix, there's always
Of
a
course.
prefix because, it was what that era, belonged. But I repeatedly get my inspiration from it, from even way back to the Baroque era, which
Of
is
course.
like early 17th century. And
Yes.
I mean, I get a lot of my embellishment ideas from there. So right from, I would say, early civilization, which is the Greek culture, or Mesopotamia, right up to now, which is what do we call this era? The COVID 20s. So you had the roaring 80s, you had the grungy 90s, and you have the COVID 20. How sad. Anyway, but we have comfort in the COVID area. So, everyone's looking at comfort and and sustainability. So these are the two things that I think are going to be very strong in the era of,
Yes. Yes.
that's to come now. Yeah.
I wanted to actually ask you a couple of Bollywood questions, also Bollywood-based questions.
Sure,
So in
sure.
Bollywood, whose fashion sense do you like the best?
That's actually a tough one, considering we have so many well-dressed. See, you know why? You know why it's tough? Because these days we have so many well-dressed ladies in Bollywood. I mean,
Yeah.
Practically everyone knows it and gets it right. Okay. However, I think my co-partner in the brand MXS, that's,
Yes.
Shweta Bachchan Nanda, is one of the most stylish women in Bollywood.
Okay.
Because she has this sense of, effortless style mixed with this
Yes.
laid back luxury that can make any garment look fabulous. So I would say definitely her.
Any particular styling tips and colors you'd suggest for a person?
Yeah, so a person that's built a little largely, I would say that, there are lots of assets that the person can also show.
Of course.
For example, broad shoulders can be very flattering. And
Yes.
so, we would play on something like that. So we would, cut the garment in such a way that we make the waist look smaller and make the upper body look bigger. So, that will make a person who's slightly heavier look very sexy and fabulous. So,
Yeah.
there are ways of doing it, because there's so many good points and
Yes.
advantages of being big as well, as
Exactly.
opposed to being small and tiny. I mean,
Yeah.
being big, you can carry off so many trends which actually people shy away from. So I just feel that for instance, right now, at Monisha Jaising, we're working on a lot of power shoulders and power sleeves and Victorian sleeves, and that's the trend that we're looking at for the season. Frankly telling you, it would look great on a person who's slightly heavier, because
Yes.
the way it's cut with the decolletage neckline. I just feel that if you're very tiny, you'll just get lost in all those sleeves, whereas if you're big, you can just carry that off so beautifully. So that's a trend that we're working on, which actually would look nicer on someone who's bigger.
And a particular tip for petite girls?
Petite girls tend to be victims of fashion, and they kind of just feel that anything can good look on can look good on them, just because they're skinny and petite. But that is where they make the biggest faux pas, because then they turn out to just look like clowns. So I would tell the petite girls that, okay, even if you're fit, petite, whatever, but still be careful as to what you wear. You also have to be equally careful of what you wear, as what a healthy person would think like a million times. You also need to think a million times. Don't just think that you can wear a sack and get away with it.
Any styling tips for short girls?
Short girls is easy for me, because I'm short too. And so basically, I would say that to try and wear one color from head to toe. Do not wear contrasting colors. So if you're wearing separates, please do not wear two contrasting colors. So if you're wearing, say, for example, a skirt and a top, they should be as as much the same tone as possible, if not the same color. Do not wear a complete contrast on the upper body and and the lower body, because that will cut height. Do not wear horizontal stripes from head to toe. You can wear it on the top of, on the top part, but not otherwise. And anything short looks very nice on short girls, because it gives them a longer leg look. And so if you're daring enough to put on that mini skirt, please do, because it'll make your legs look longer. And low-waisted, definitely not, because that makes your legs look shorter. So try and opt for something that's high-waisted. It will give you length.
There was this particular fashion student, a young girl, who wanted some tips. How would she work towards creating a space for herself?
But first of all, I feel she should definitely, get an education in fashion. I mean, learning on the job is good, but you still need some, ground rules set. I mean, India is now soon to become one of the fashion capitals of the world, the way it's going. There's so many academies everywhere. So I feel that if you get a good education, that will set the ground rules. Then I would suggest to go and work with a designer, intern with the designer. You just need to do everything and learn on the job, and to not, get into an internship or a job saying, this is what I want to do, because, that's what the designer does not want to hear, because everybody
Of
wants to do everyone, like, every student or intern out there wants to do the designing, wants to do the, like, the glamour part. But, you don't learn there. You learn actually on the production floor. You learn making coffee, observing. So
yes.
basically, I mean, I would say that, this is the road ahead that the designer should follow. So, get an education, get an internship, then a job, work, work for some time, and then after you've learned all the rules and tricks of the trade, if you're confident and you want to start a brand, by all means, go ahead and start the brand.
What is the color of this season, the Pantone shade for this season?
Well, the color of the season was meant to be burnt orange and lilac, but due to COVID, people are now moving to bold colors. Reason being is that, there's a lot of, work from home meetings happening,
Yes.
and, it's the color that pops, when you're like, in Zoom meeting or whatever. So people are moving towards, bold colors.
Is there any particular fit which is like going to be like the fit of the season or something?
I feel that the fit of the season is going to be driven by comfort, a lot of comfort. Reason being that people have, become used to comfort, being at home.
Okay.
You've got used to comfort. So there's no way, you're going to give that away, just for some silly fashion trend. So
Yes.
whatever the trend is, whether it's a princess cut lehenga or whatever, if it's not comfortable, people aren't going to go for it. So comfort will continue, to be the primary criterion in shopping. It's something that we won't want to lose even post COVID.
Of course, there's been an effect on the industry till a certain extent, but are people still coming in and going ahead with their wedding shopping, trousseau shopping?
Yes, people are still shopping. They've got bolder, and they're, venturing out with their masks and their gloves and everything else. And, we've had a lot of wedding shoppers, coming in, and some of them for, weddings that have been postponed, some of them for weddings, that are, like, happening, the following week, or, in the next,
Yes.
couple of weeks, intimate small gatherings. So, we've had brides, that have come in, for a wedding later, for which, we've sat with them and we've, designed an outfit, for like, for the bride. But a lot of the brides are coming in and saying that, we were planning to postpone the wedding, but now, what the hell, like,
Yeah.
we can't just be, locked down forever. So,
Exactly.
we're going ahead with the wedding, with a small gathering. So, we just like to pick up something off the rack, something simple, something we can wear for that intimate gathering. So, we're getting a lot of brides who are coming and picking up pieces off the rack.
So how you go about doing your appointments? Are you doing them in store, or is it like more like Zoom call meetings and things like that?
How the appointments work is, I mean, the family comes in with the bride, or the bride comes in with her friends, and then, she chooses something. So, she comes into the store and she, like, picks an idea, and then we decide to go forward with a Zoom meeting, with a
Yes.
virtual appointment meeting, because it's just safer. And so, once she's like, got an idea as to what she wants, then she says, okay, now let's communicate, like, via, like a virtual space, and then, we can finalize things. So, it starts, with her coming in and picking what she wants, and then
Yes.
it gets to the next stage, which is, virtual actually.
So now I've seen a lot of fashion shows and some of them happening right now. Are you also going to be like showcasing your collection in one of these fashion shows, the virtual fashion shows?
No, I'm not. I've decided not to do a virtual show. I mean, I'm so used to a physical fashion show that
Of
a
course.
virtual fashion show, I just feel, will not do justice. So what
Of
I'm planning to do instead is to make a short movie on the
course.
clothes. So, to shoot a small, like, movie, and then, put it out there, on Instagram, for all my followers and my clients.
Also, you had done a collection, I think it was last year, sometime last year with Sweta Bachchan, and you had done like a really cool collection. Are you planning to do any collaborations now?
The collaboration, that I have in MXS is a permanent collaboration. It's
Okay.
not what you call, a capsule collection that, normally, designers do
Yeah.
with people. What, like, MXS, the brand is,
Yes.
a proper company,
Okay.
I mean, it's a brand, that's been launched by myself and by, Shweta Bachchan. So it's not just a temporary capsule collection. It's
Okay.
it's a proper brand, which has its own growth strategy planned ahead. And, we started it in 1st September 2018, and we've
Yes.
just completed 2 years. And I mean, the response has been overwhelming.
Yes, I went sometime back. Like I think this was a year ago. I'd gone to your site to check it out, and most of the things were sold out, and it was very different. And
It's very, global. So, it's
yes.
got a very global appeal. So we have clients from, all over the world. And, it's doing very well, in the online space. And, we're just hoping that it's just going to grow, and it's just going to be the brand.
Being an Indian consumer also, like when I go out shopping, there's only Zara and there's Massimo Dutti, and we're stuck with kind of those brands. And then there's a lot of Indian designers, but sometimes you want something Western, which is like nice, which is like your Marge, your Sandro,
The MXS has its own design philosophy, which is completely different. And,
That's true.
you'll just look at it, and you look at it and you'll say, now, who's designed that? You won't get it so fast.
Yeah.
Zara, you can spot from,
And everyone,
even in a crowded room, you can spot Zara.
thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.